Hey everyone, welcome back to Outspoken on Substack Live. It's Naomi Wolf, and so much is happening today. I thought today we should just go through three of the big news stories that are unfolding. Just getting set up here, and my special guest, Brian O'Shea, who also happens to live here with me, is walking our dog Loki, and he'll be back shortly. He'll join me. Before we dive in, I just want to thank everyone watching around the world. It's been kind of unbelievable to learn how broad the reach of this humble podcast is worldwide. We signed up for something called Pod Status, which lets you know where your podcast is in the rankings. And to my amazement, we're in the top, as I mentioned, I think in the last broadcast, we're in the top 1 to 200 or top 250 in about a dozen countries around the world, including the United States. We hit a high of 210 this month, so inching down there to the top 200. Canada, we just broke the top 200. New Zealand, Australia, and then countries I never would have imagined, such as Indonesia, Nigeria, Congo, Russia. We keep being in the top 50 for Russia, the Netherlands, Germany, and very interestingly, a lot of Muslim countries and a lot of countries that are really living under full-on tyranny. So thank God for the internet. It's a horrible curse in some ways and a great, great blessing in other ways. And if you're listening from around the world, please say something in the comments if you dare to. If your comms are too surveilled or scrutinized where you are, just send me your blessings. I send them back to you. And, again, I'm very, very moved because the theme of Daily Clout and the theme of, this podcast, even though we cover a lot of ground, cultural, political, news, spiritual, the basic theme is freedom. The basic theme is liberty, and how we, in our brief stint, our brief sojourn on this planet, in our, as far as we know, one lifetime on this planet, can really attain freedom. If we're not in a free society, defend freedom. If we're in a nominally free society like the United States, till recently Great Britain, France, Western Europe, Canada, God bless her, or strive for freedom if we're in literally closed societies. Or oligarchical societies such as Russia, or theocracies like Indonesia. So, truly bless you all my readers. I'm dying, or listeners, I'm dying to know, if you are in Ghana or the Republic of Congo or Indonesia, why do you tune in? What are you getting? I'm not trying to be kind of pushy or intrusive. I just want to understand how it is that this humble, quirky podcast can be meaningful enough in countries like that to keep hitting the top 100 in news commentary, top 10, top 50 in some cases. It's, again, truly, truly moving. And it's not just that. The Daily Clout Network is in the top 4 for a number of countries. And here we go. This is the cutest dog in the world and the handsomest husband walking in from their walk. It's very cold out there. We're at an undisclosed location in Massachusetts, and they'll just get settled in, and then we can have the cuteness of Loki and the magnificent Brian O'Shea joining us in just a minute. But anyway, if you are in a closed society, do let me know in the comments if you can, what it is you're getting from this, so I can give you more of it, or so I can be responsive to you. It's really, really extraordinary, the desire that is eternal that people have for freedom and also for civilization. I think, I've been thinking about this a lot, like with the assault on the West, which took the form of medical tyranny, and now it's switching, because that sort of fell apart recently, especially with the HHS attainment of RFK Jr., this administration, MAHA and MAGA, kind of shining a light on the lies, a global light. Now the evildoers that wish to make war on the West, and when I say the West, if you're listening from Russia or Indonesia or the Republic of Congo, you know that I don't just mean the geographic West. The West means Enlightenment values, individualism, free speech, rule of law, civil society, trial by jury, all of these liberal values in the 19th century term. And Loki wants to join the podcast as always. What is happening now is that these values, and certainly the geographic areas that host them and support them, Western Europe, North America, are under attack, and the weapon has gone from medical interventions and medical propaganda, lockdown propaganda, vaccine propaganda, to the Red-Green Alliance, right? The marriage of communism and fundamentalist Islam. And I've been covering that, talking about it a great deal. Again, if you're Muslim or calling in from a Muslim country, sorry, Loki always wants to be with us. I'll just restate, I'm not saying Islam is evil or that all Muslims are scary or problematic. By no means. You know that I've traveled widely in Muslim countries. So has Brian. He speaks Arabic. I've had nothing but beautiful treatment for the most part in Muslim countries, with everyone knowing that my family and I were Jewish. And I love many, Muslim friends, Muslim intellectuals, and Muslim texts. But we have to face the fact, as I've been saying in my last few podcasts and posts, that fundamentalist, tribalist Islam is being deployed very strategically. As I say on social media every day, it's a war, it's a memo, it's a war, it's a memo. Very systematically, AI makes this more and more possible against the West, against the symbols, the history, the rituals of the West, of the Christian West, of the Jewish West, in order to, as kind of the tip of the spear, to subvert and destroy those societies and replace them with a kind of fully fledged feudalist, fundamentalist Islamist society, funded by and wedded to Chinese communism for nefarious reasons of Chinese communism's own. So that's the backdrop. And we are getting already, we're clearly over the target, because I'm already getting disgusting anti-Semitic harassment in the comments. So I'll just share with you some of the threats. And Brian, you'll be interested in these threats I'm getting live.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So redact, and I don't want to inhibit anyone. Obviously, you're not going to give you a hard time for commenting, but threats of violence are not First Amendment protected speech. And I will just note that I get threats every week. I probably get threats more often than every week, because Brian intercepts a lot of my active threats and doesn't let me see them in order to keep me protected.
People threatening you to leave their address.
Oh, Brian wants me to tell the people threatening me to leave their address. So it's a little oblique, honey. They're very clever. This is not, not legally actionable probably, but redacted 007 says only violence matters at this point. USA is run by oligarch Jews.
What's his address?
What's your address, my friend? All right. What, honey? They're never going to. Because okay, Brian says you're a pussy. Sorry, I can't believe this is happening. And redacted 007 also says, go be a Jew in a Muslim country. So this is a really interesting teachable moment, you guys, because it's really scary to criticize the deployment of fundamentalist Islam and tribal extremist Muslims against Western Europe and North America because of what happens to critics of Islam. Very, very scary. So critics of the vaccine certainly have faced their own horrific threats and repercussions. Just before this podcast, the news kind of rebroke, because this actually happened in January of 2025, that Dr. Francis Boyle, who's a bioweapons expert, the bioweapons expert really on mRNA, who drafted the bioweapons international treaty that regulated and restricted the deployment of bioweapons against civilians, he was very active and vocal, warning that both COVID and the COVID vaccine are a bioweapon designed to Hey everyone, it's Naomi Wolf of Outspoken and Daily Clout, and I want to tell you about gold. Every major financial collapse has been preceded by the same 7 warning signs: before the Great Depression, before the 1970s stagflation, before the crash of 2008, and now all 7 are flashing red again for the first time in over 15 years. American Alternative Assets just released a free report called the Bellwether Signal. It breaks down each of these signals and shows you how to protect your retirement before the next wave hits. In times of uncertainty, gold has always been the ultimate safe haven. It held strong in 2008. It surged during the inflation crisis of the 70s, and it remains one of the few assets not tied to political manipulation or central bank policy. Find out why central banks are buying gold and precious metals in record amounts, and how you can too. Call 855-803-GOLD or visit cloutgold.com. That's cloutgold.com to get your free copy of the Bellwether Signal. That's 855-803-GOLD or cloutgold.com. Learn the signs, protect your savings, make your move while you still can. Populate and disable populations. I interviewed him. He's the most distinguished critic of the RNA rollout that I've ever interviewed. He's again the guy who wrote the treaty. He's been working around the world legally restricting bioweapons for decades. A great human rights, I think, attorney, a great man, and an extraordinary expert on bioweapons. And for him to testify that the mRNA injection is a bioweapon, which he was planning to do when he suddenly died, would be the most damning testimony anyone could provide. I went to the European Parliament in Brussels in September at the request of MEP Christian Andersen of Alternatives for Deutschland, that fantastic right-wing political party that is trying to stop the vaccine weaponization and to close borders in Germany and to, let Germans have a sovereign nation again. And I don't have the credentials that he has. So, for me to go is great. And I brought the findings from the Pfizer papers, but for Dr. Boyle to testify at a high-profile European hearing is far more impactful. So that was going to happen. And he was the 5th expert witness. Oh, Brian's going to come with it. I just saw Brian walking around in the back. Is that an AR-14, honey?
It's just a toy gun, baby.
It's a giant toy gun. No real guns here. So he was the 5th witness that was booked to testify against Pfizer and Albert Bourla in a trial that is underway in the Netherlands. Now, the lead lawyer in that trial got arrested and held under very high security conditions. I'm not sure of the status of that lead lawyer right now, but it was a very high profile kind of attack on that lead lawyer. And there are 4 other expert witnesses, distinguished people: Sasha Latipova, the former Pfizer expert, Dr. Whedon, Kathleen Watt, whom I'm not going to say is a distinguished expert because she says that I'm deep state and some sort of agent, which I'm not. And she's never called me for comment. So I'm going to bracket her, but the others I know are distinguished truth tellers. and one more expert witness. And so the most distinguished of all, the most impactful of all, was Dr. Boyle. Well, he died suddenly. Sasha Latipova posted this morning that he had been in perfect health, in his 70s, very active, and he suddenly died, and that she thinks he was killed. So, I don't ever like to speculate. And if it's his family, that must be very painful. He's a real person. They may know things we don't know, but Sasha Latipova says we don't know the cause of death. Point is, whether his death was suspicious or natural, people are taking a lot of risks always in calling out the globalist genociders behind this injection. And by the same token, people are taking a lot of risks in identifying and talking about the weaponization of millions of military-age Muslim men with their, 3 or 4 dependent wives, their dozens of children, into the housing stock, the welfare benefits, the, educational resources, the schools of the host countries all over Western Europe and North America. And people take great risks, as Brian did in our last podcast, reading from the primary sources of what is Sharia law that CARE and other organizations are trying to establish. And people take great risks in talking about the treatment of women in a lot of these countries like Afghanistan, where the Taliban just forbade women to hear the voice of another woman. They can't be seen at windows. They're living in a kind of psychological torment, covered up completely, girls covered up, forbidden to work, forbidden to go to school, forbidden to speak, forbidden to have jobs of their own. These are women who were previously, before the Taliban's rule, very professional, highly liberated, very accomplished, had lots and lots of access to contributing to society. Yeah, go ahead, sweetheart. So people take risks in noting, what's happening. I don't want to. I'm very reluctant. I don't want to for a lot of reasons. I don't like ever being critical of a religion. I say this every time. I don't like generalizing about groups of people, but this is really happening. So I just know that, getting threats while live or harassment, go be a Jew in a Muslim country, is, it's intimidating, right? And
not to me.
I know, not to you, sweetheart. That's why, it's one reason I married you.
Look, a lot of these people are either trolls or internet tough guys. We used to deal with them all the time with stalker cases. They normally almost pee their pants when we showed up at their door. Is that you, Radical? Or Redacted 007? It's kind of a wussy type of username anyways. It's like redacted, so he's hiding, but he thinks he's a spy. Ooh.
So Trump has Pfizer in the Jew Oval Office. Jews.
I won't even play.
Yeah, no, I know. Well, but sweetheart, it's yes and no, because I think it's important for people to understand what the blowback is right now.
That is true.
The way it was important to understand, I would always say with the Pfizer stuff, I've been censored, I've been smeared, my career got shut down. It's important to call out the way that people are, the methods by which they seek to intimidate people. I do. And the reason is now is the time to fight back, as with the medical tyranny methodology. Now's the time to fight back, because you still can. At a certain point, when I'm covered with a burqa and I can't speak, because they'll hang me the way they do in Iran, or execute me if I speak or show my hair, it'll be too late. But now is the time to call it out. And thank God I have such a well-armed man. Oops, did I say that? At my side all the time. It's okay.
We have a well-armed dog.
We have a well-armed dog. All right, darling, while you're doing that, I'm going to jump right.
I'm just here to help.
Okay, thank you, sweetheart. Well, let's jump right in to the news of the day. And I'm going to share my screen, which I'm so proud of myself as an English major that I can actually do. So Reuters is reporting that the US FDA launches fresh safety scrutiny of the approved RSV therapies for infants.
It's a weird picture.
Right? It is a weird picture.
Isn't
What
it
is
a
it
strange
of?
ass picture? Yeah,
That's really strange.
it's like a baby's thigh. And,
It is a baby's thigh, and then it's, I guess, a mom's knees, but it's pretty.
it's so weird.
A baby's foot is seen in Manhattan, New York. Like, what? That's bizarre. Okay, there's a baby's foot. I just want to call attention to the headline because, you know, this is Reuters. All right, well, guess who was on the board of Reuters? The same guy who was on the board of Pfizer until recently. So Reuters is Pfizer. Reuters is pharma. And by the way, when the Pfizer Papers project that I worked on for several years, was fully underway, it was Reuters that tried to discredit us. So they note how they say US FDA launches fresh safety scrutiny of approved RSV therapies for infants, as if FDA approval should be the last word. But as we've shown from the Pfizer documents, the FDA will approve a ham sandwich. Like the FDA will approve anything without even looking. The FDA approved an injection that, the documents in their custody showed was killing people, disabling people, and rendering people sterile. So their prior approval means absolutely nothing, especially given the revolving door at the highest level. What are you looking for, sweetheart?
Oh, no, I'm just looking up redacted 007.
Oh, baby, don't intimidate my listeners live.
Intimidate this guy?
Yeah.
Okay. You want me to cut in here and tell
Sure,
you who
baby.
you're dealing with?
All right.
That's why I said don't waste your time with him.
All right.
So he set up his profile at redacted 007
Okay.
in October of 2025.
Right.
And then in his profile, he has this so right away you see Christian, pureblood, constitutionalist, patriot. Well, not if you're a racist, so sorry. But then this Wang half.
What is wing?
Oh my God.
What is wing half?
This is a acronym for white ass N-word going hard as F.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just saying F because there could be kids watching.
What does that even mean?
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. You can't be, if you look at the root of the slang term, the N-word, it comes from negra.
Okay, this
which
is getting
black.
really weird. What's the point? Is he crazy or is
no?
it
This is. I don't know if it's a bot, but it's definitely a troll. But
right.
yeah, there's a lot of.
Why is he telling me violence is the only answer?
Well, he's just trying to sound hard, baby. It's just he's
okay, baby. Well,
unfortunately, I think he's a groiper.
What does that word even mean?
I don't even know. But
How can you?
they're followers of Nick Fuentes.
But why is it called a groiper?
I don't know where the word comes from.
Okay.
Maybe they do a lot of mutual groiping of each other. I don't know.
Okay, well, darling, can we put that away now?
Yeah.
I know you're obsessed with finding him, but
No, I'm not actually obsessed with finding him. I just like to know who I'm talking to.
all right, fair enough. Well, thank you for checking in. Thank you for keeping me safe. That's not a serious threat?
No, that's not a serious person.
Okay. All right. Well, I hope we haven't.
And if you want to get serious, let's get serious.
Thank you, baby.
That was my creepy Joe Biden whisper.
Okay, thank you, baby. I wish
have weapons.
I wish every woman had someone, armed and ready to.
Are you kidding me? Like us men want to take a day off. We want to be surrounded by heavily armed women.
Okay,
They used to have entire calendars dedicated to that. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what it was, like bikinis and machine guns or something. Featured in Elmore Leonard's movie. What was the one with the judges and everything? But
I don't know.
Samuel Jackson was like, yeah.
Okay, well, now I know what you want for Christmas.
Why do you think Laura Croft was such a popular character?
I don't know. I'm not a man. I don't get it.
Well, I don't know. But, you got a woman running around in like tight tactical shorts with double guns on her thighs. I don't know what it is about that, but every man growing up like that sort of thing.
Okay.
Except for redacted 007. He probably liked the dude in the tight t-shirt with the chiseled abs. It's probably more his speed.
Baby, don't be homophobic.
I'm not scared of gay people.
Okay. back to the news. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Back to the news. So the U.S. health regulators informed executives at Merck, Sanofi, and AstraZeneca last week that their approved protective, you hear how this is an ad for something under scrutiny, RSV treatments for infants would face fresh safety scrutiny following concerns raised by vaccine skeptics. Multiple sources familiar with the situation told Reuters. Well, like, I feel like there's no point in even reading any further because there's so much that's tangentious.
What's the opening?
The opening is that the RSV injection for infants is under scrutiny again by the FDA.
I never even heard of RSV until COVID vaccines got exposed as being dangerous. So then they're like, okay, got us on the COVID vaccines, but what about RSV?
What about RSV? Exactly.
Don't forget monkeypox.
And I remember people having a cough and letting me know, like, not in our world, but letting me know they were feeling better and saying, thank God it's not RSV. I got it tested for RSV. And I'm like, this is a new invention. This is new branding. But honey, what I wanted to call your attention to, because you're a master of propaganda, is the embedded kind of spin here. They're calling it a treatment for infants. Well, it's not a treatment for infants. Every infant is encouraged to get this injection, whether they have RSV or not.
It's easier if I hold my computer, call it up on the screen so they can follow along.
Okay, it's up on the screen, baby.
But they can't see it.
Yeah, they can, baby.
Oh, they can? Okay,
yeah,
good.
Yeah, I learned how to do that.
Good.
It's right there.
Look at you. All right, that's awesome. Okay.
Yes, I'm an English major, but I know how to do this.
All right. So
no,
you wanted my input.
I do want your input.
I want to go line by line.
Okay, baby.
Okay, so, and by the way, guys, if you want to learn anything about propaganda at all, definitely start with Crystallizing Public Opinion by Bernays. It came out before his famous one on propaganda. Really, that marketing and sales are propaganda. So if you're a sales professional, dive deeper on that. You'll learn about propaganda. It's the same thing. And most of the left and the Marxists in this country rely on a book called Nudge, which I think came out in 2003. So there's some homework if you want it.
Well, the other kind of propaganda-y phrase is raised by vaccine skeptics. So the people, Marty McCarty and Secretary Kennedy are not vaccine skeptics, like they're like that saying gravity skeptics, right? They're asking questions about this particular vaccine and double checking the benefit risk analysis.
Well, there's a lot here, so let me just go through this first. All right. Okay, so basically it says here. Let's do this line. You could see this one line at a time. And I would also point out, like, where it's placed, like especially in paper newspapers, means a lot. The picture they use means a lot. Like, that almost looks like some sort of pedophilia.
It does look kind of pedophile-ish.
And then they say scrutiny of approved vaccines. It's weird because I think that's put there because it's like very ambiguous to draw people in. And then they go right into they're kind of messaging that the people that want to hurt whatever's happening to that baby, the perpetrator of what you might be imagining must be these vaccine skeptics.
And then look at the bullet points. RSV, their ads, RSV therapies shown to reduce infant hospitalizations, no link to sources, no evidence. Companies say studies show the therapies are safe. No sources, no links. U.S. officials held calls with drug makers, senior executives about safety.
So that right there, held calls with, like, it's this collaborative process. And a lot of times it is. But in this particular case, they called them and said, hey, make sure you get the answers to these questions to us by 5.
Right.
Scrutiny follows.
They've buried it. Seizure concerns raised by vaccine skeptics, right? So babies are having seizures.
Okay,
now,
so they're actually having seizures?
They're having seizures. Someone's concerned about seizures.
I'm concerned about
seizures, but they don't link to any primary sources showing that babies are having seizures. But obviously, Marty McCarty has some documentation or evidence that babies are having seizures, which is why, this is being subjected to review. Let me take this
next one.
All right.
RSV therapy shown to reduce infant hospitalizations. Now, that's really tricky right there. RSV therapies.
Right.
Do the therapies include the shot they want to
Right.
give
Could be
them?
something totally
Is
different.
it a little baby massage
And
that
shown by
produces,
whom?
and then shown to reduce infant hospitalizations for what?
For what?
What were they being
That's
hospitalized
right.
by? Did you compare the study to a sample of infants who happened not to go to the hospital during the 1 month you monitored them
Right.
after you gave them the RSV shot? That's how they play with this.
Right. No, exactly. And I'm looking for the seizures. Here we go. Marianne Damasi, an independent journalist based in Australia who has been critical of COVID vaccines, wrote in an August 17th blog post, no link to it, that the RSV therapies could increase the risk of seizures. No citation. And then, Reuters Pharma publication says several safety studies, no citation, have found no such evidence of seizure risk. So they're just burying the fact that there's a signal, apparently, of a seizure risk that is leading Marty McCarty.
Well, let me go ahead.
No, that's
when
fine,
you're ready.
baby.
When you're ready.
No, I'm done with that.
So when I look at these things, what I do is I'll print it out for the audience to know my methodology. It might not be Naomi's, but what I'll do is I will black out what they're talking about, like the product, the shot. So I'll black out like RSV. I'll block out the company names, and then you just read the way they structure things. So Marianne Damasi, an independent journalist based in Australia who has been critical of COVID vaccines, dismissive. They don't give a link to her profile.
No link.
Okay, nothing like that. And then wrote in August 17th blog post.
Right.
What is a blog?
Yeah, what is a blog?
I mean, isn't every online newspaper technically a blog?
Totally.
But they're minimizing it. So the point I wanted to make was, when you're trying to figure out the messaging, just kind of like make a list of how they do it. It's like title, subtitle, that, and then map those out, and then you could see the pattern. It's like, basically minimalization, grouping certain things together. And then you'll see the same pattern across different articles, which can let you know who's actually behind the articles because they only have one template that comes out of corporate.
Oh my God, that's embarrassing. All right. Well, thank you so much. The call was brief and did not spell out what data might be requested. Well, I find that hard to believe.
So the call was, sorry to keep cutting in, but it's the devil's always in the details. Yeah. The call was, which call? The call with the officials. Okay, and who's
convene a call with the 3 drug companies last Wednesday to tell them to, baby, we should know this.
No, you told me you told me you were going to pop up some headlines.
Tracy Beth Hogue is senior FDA advisor.
Yeah, I'm not in the health space.
You're perfect, baby.
Hogue's questions with FDA-led officials at the agency's Center for Drug Evaluation and Research to convene a call with 3 drug companies last Wednesday to tell them to expect further safety questions from the commissioner's office. Sources familiar with the situation said. I always hate those sources.
Yes, sources.
And to convene a call. No, the FDA called them and told them what to do, but they always try to make it sound like there's an equal partnership.
Right. It's a collab.
Post-Trump administration takeover. Yes. The call was brief and did not spell out what data might be requested, they said. Hogue has since been named. So right there, they're already attacking Hogue. Yeah. And they're trying to make it sound like she didn't give them enough information. Well, that was sent over ahead of the call.
Right.
Okay. Right. And so they're saying the call did not spell out what data might be requested, but in a follow-up email or a follow-up summons, that's laid out. You never lay that out on a call because no one's going to sit there and take notes. This is spin.
Total spin. And, having read through all of this, it's just amazing to me that anyone reads legacy media anymore because it's very difficult to get anything concrete from this. It's like a mush. It's almost like an AI generated mush of language that kind of leads you to just take away, some crazy person at the FDA, a vaccine skeptic, for no good reason, because they're overreacting to a blog post, asked about baby seizures, but whatevs. There's lots of studies saying it's all fine. Don't forget to inject your baby with the RSV thing that didn't exist before your baby was born.
Well, if you look at this entire article, and there's been a series of articles like this, it's not really about defending the vaccine. What this is death by 1,000 cuts from the media to undermine the position of RFK Jr. And weaken him. So they're doing this to Trump right now, too. They took Alina Habba out of the running for, Attorney General. even some, rhinos got behind that. So, and then his other special prosecutor, I forgot her name, she was taken out of the case on a technicality that, the Democrats were allowed to go through. And that was for Virginia.
I'm listening. I'm just checking.
And so I'm watching happening to Trump, and now I'm seeing it because I've been paying attention to Kennedy, is there's this systematic targeting of his closest advisors. Not, and I'm in no way insinuating that I think all of Kennedy's closest advisors are good. I think some have to go. But I will say the same thing's happening to Trump that is happening to, Kennedy. And it's also happening on the Democrat side.
Right.
It's happening to Hakeem Jeffries. It's happening to Schumer. It's happening to all the leaders of the legacy parties and the new MAGA party. I like to think of them different from Republicans. So watch the pattern of that. That entire article is chipping away at the credentials of the experts under HHS.
Right. Totally. Great point, sweetheart. And our good friend, Autumn Smith,
Hey, Autumn.
a wonderful citizen journalist. She's so great in Michigan, says they try to cheapen and discredit people by using the term blogger rather than journalist.
Totally.
They did that to me in my court trials to try to discredit my reporting and exposing of corruption. And you're both exactly right. If you write for the digital Wall Street Journal these days, you're a blogger technically, but they do try to pretend that everything that's not legacy media is unreal or misinformation. Can I take this one, sweetheart?
Yeah, it's all you. I'm enjoying her comments.
She's the best. So we really are over the target, it seems to me, because we're getting a lot of tendentious blowback about the statements I'm making about Islam and that you're making about Islam. And so Tiana Pastor, and again, not to call out any of my, legitimate listeners, you are free to disagree with me and Brian, but she says they do not kill you in Iran if you don't wear a burqa. Not true. Yes, I believe Iranian women should have a choice. In Iran, women go to university if they want. They become teachers, engineers, etc. Well, I'm going to, again, I don't like to call people out because I'm always delighted when anyone listens and we appreciate
and
our
I have
audience.
some input on that when you're done.
Okay, but I just want to read some information. So you can die at the hands of the morality police. My source is The Guardian, BBC, ABC. The Guardian, it's widely reported. Also, this was in Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch. Iranian woman dies, quote, after being beaten by morality police over hijab. So you're right, technically not a burqa. It was even worse. She was wearing her hijab improperly. You could see her hair, as I understand the story. And Mohsa Amini, a 22-year-old Kurd, died after a violent arrest for infringing hijab rules amid Iranian crackdown on women's dress. She died in a hospital days after being detained by the regime's morality police. Yes.
Can you read that again?
Sure. Mahsa Amini, a 22-year-old Kurd, died. So she wasn't, fair enough, she wasn't killed for wearing her hijab.
Right.
She was taken into custody by the morality police, whose job is to make sure every woman is wearing her hijab correctly. So no hair shows, no ankle shows, no wrist shows, etc. And in custody, she was beaten so badly that she died. So it was an extrajudicial killing, I would say.
So can I just jump in just before you go on?
Sure.
And I don't totally disagree with either one of you.
All right.
I will say this: Iran is one of the biggest geographic Muslim countries out there.
Yeah.
And Sharia law is really different per region. So we were talking about this the other day. If you go to the backwaters of Afghanistan, Sharia law can be totally barbaric. What's up?
I'm orienting toward the camera. There you go.
Okay.
Your whole body in the frame, baby. Thank you, baby. That's perfect. Perfect. You want me to scoot over?
I'm just giving the old stink eye. But the she asked me not to give her the stink eye the other day, so now I'm doubling up on it. So Sharia law is practiced differently, just like Christianity is practiced differently, no matter where you are. So you're right, women are killed for not wearing whatever, head attire you want to call it, because there's different names for that by region as well. But to say they all are, or to even say they all are not in Iran, is I disagree with the premise of what that's built on, is that there's a really strong central control in Iran of their entire country. There's very strong central leadership, and they're very, very strict. Mm-hmm. But it's looser control by province mm-hmm. than we have in the United States between the president and the state. So what I'm saying is, to say that every time a woman doesn't wear this, she is killed and stoned to death, is not exactly accurate. But to say that it doesn't happen is also not accurate. So I'd say both sides will pump up the woman. It's always horrible. Any law that indicates that women should be killed for doing anything except for murder is crazy. Mm-hmm. So let me just state it right there. So I'm not defending Islam. I disagree with most of it. But what I will say is that the people, propagandists who are anti-Iran will pump up sometimes executions that were 10 years old. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of them. That's right. Not to minimize it. But then people who are pro-Iran, like, I'm sorry, but this listener seems to be, mm-hmm. they will take a walk through Tehran on a Saturday during the shopping day when it's sunny and say, look, there's no stonings happening, right. as you can see.
Right.
So I would just say, keep that in mind. Always know, this, but for, I always dive deep into the source, no matter how small they are, to see, okay, why are they messaging this?
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's great, but I'm going to push back rather firmly.
Sure.
As someone who's, been an activist for women's rights my whole career, I respectfully really disagree with your kind of too optimistic assessment. First of all, you're right. There's not centrally planned, rollout of a law all over Iran that says we're going to kill you if you let your hair show. But I would say, again, as someone who's studied this very deeply, it's even worse, because culture and religion and politics all merge in those societies, and especially in Iranian society, post-revolutionary, fundamentalist Iranian society, such that, it could be the morality police who shoot you. It could be your relatives who take you out and drown you, right? Honor killings. I mean, your own tribe's members.
I think you're arguing a different point than I'm making.
No, I'm saying
my
that
point was that it's going to be different by region.
Okay.
And I'm not arguing with the culture and the fusion of that.
But here's what I would say, women who live in societies like that, and specifically in Iran, don't want to risk, being that moment where that villager, that imam, that, even if they've been in mm-hmm. a safe region, like the one who died was a Kurd. Mm-hmm. Kurds are supposed to have more freedom. It's a separate thing. It's not part of the dominant what?
No, Kurds never have more freedom.
You just gave me the look.
No, I'm giving you the look about like the Kurds and all of
look.
No, the Kurds in all of these countries. They're always like, Iran's always saying it. It's like China saying it about the Uyghurs. It's like the Turks saying it about their Kurds. Like, oh, they always have, look how well we treat them. They have they don't have freedom.
Okay. Well, what I'm trying to say is Kurds don't have a cultural norm of keeping the women as restricted as
True.
Fundamentalist Muslim sects do, like the dominant sect in
mm-hmm.
Iran. So it's even more shocking that the morality police said, cover up. Oh, we're going to take you in custody. We're going to beat you so hard, you're going to die in hospital.
That underlines my point.
It underlines my point.
About lying about the Kurds' freedom and their ability to express their culture. Obviously not. You're right.
But let me just give you one other example and give our viewer one other example.
You're pulling me over?
Yeah. Well, no, I'm hugging you.
Maybe this is a children's program. This is not.
It's a very
this is not
hug.
In the lair. This is your show.
Iranian woman paralyzed after being shot over hijab, and that is 2024. So quite recently, mother of two left paraplegic. This is BBC after being shot by Iranian police. So this is not the morality police. This is the law enforcement over an alleged violation of the country's strict hijab rules. A source with knowledge of the case told BBC she's paralyzed from the waist down. Arezu Badri, 31, was driving home in her car with her sister in the northern city of Noor in July when police attempted to pull her over to confiscate her car. The driver did not comply with the order to stop, prompting the officers to shoot. The incident came after Iranian police announced a clampdown on women defying the nation's compulsory dress code. So maybe your point about every region being, more subjective is not quite right. There is a national dress code.
Wait. I'm definitely going to address that. So first of all, I want to point out what's happening here is you're trying to convince me that it happens. I've already conceded that point.
All right.
My point was that it's not a synchronized universal.
It looks like it is.
But now let's go back to sources.
Okay.
Why is the BBC, a government-run institution who's clearly pro-Islamic, why are they running this? What trade deals
maybe someone actually cares about women.
But they're not going to have the access.
Fair enough.
I'm just saying you're reading the BBC
right.
as if it's
You're
a
right.
real source, and we know it's not a real source because they're a news organization run by a government. So I'm not saying it's not happening. I'm certainly not taking Iran's defense at this. I'm going back into we have to be careful when we're reading these things to make a point or anything like that, because that's a secondary source with no links.
Women have been legally required to wear a hijab in Iran since the Islamic Revolution of 1979.
Okay.
Penalties for infringements of the law include fines and imprisonment. Yep. And recently, CCTV footage showed the violent assault of a 14-year-old girl by hijab enforcement officers in Tehran. Mm-hmm. And Nafas Haji Sharif's mother told Iran's Ensaf News that she found her daughter at a morality police station with a, quote, bruised face, swollen lips, a bruised neck, and torn clothes. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to show this image because this is the kind of fight that women undergo in Iran and in other Muslim countries where they, literally they can get assaulted, shot at, detained, die in custody for wearing their headscarf in such a way as to show their hair. Can you hold that image up again? Police said Ms. Badri had failed to stop her car, so she may have been...
Okay, so we have a picture of a woman with dyed hair with clearly Western vehicles behind her.
Oh, baby, really? Are we going to do this to every single...
Yes.
Thing? All right.
My show is called Investigate
Okay,
Everything.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know how far...
And she's so worried about the laws that she's posing for an international newspaper.
No, this is probably from her social media, sweetheart.
Okay, well, what I'm saying is that, just for me, I'm looking at that. One thing about Iranian women, they're big into makeup and big into, lingerie and stuff like that. They really are. They're really big into their appearance underneath all of that. It's one of the biggest markets for, French lingerie in the world, believe it or not. But what I'm saying is, we're talking about two different things. I'm not arguing your point at all, but I am saying as you're reading this, you just make it clear that according to what I'd recommend.
Okay, respectfully.
You're reading from the BBC.
I love you to bits, but
Mm-hmm.
I have been a famous feminist activist for
You're only
years.
as good as your last job.
Fair enough, baby. But I'm looking at Amnesty International. I'm looking at European Institutions Office. IranInternational.com, Amnesty International, The Guardian, Department of Justice.
Autumn, rally the troops. Let's go into Amnesty. Who funds them? Who funds The Guardian?
Well, baby, how will you ever find a source?
That's how you find the sources.
I interviewed women in the United States who were activists
from
overseas
not doubting you.
Against the Iranian regime. Women they die in custody.
Yes, I know.
They're shot at.
I know.
Are imprisoned.
I'm not arguing that point. See, This is honestly this happens every day in our house and I see this happening across social media. You see it on Spaces, you see it in debates all the time, where, one person will say, women are dying in Iran. And then the other person will say, I don't doubt that, but we need to be careful of our sources. Sure. And I'm not picking on you. Wait, let me finish. Okay. And then the other person say, so you don't believe women are dying in Iran? And then you're actually feeding my point right now. And then when the other person tries to answer, the other person talks over them. And then what you're left with, is Brian doesn't believe women are dying in Iran.
Okay, well, I'm not saying that. Autumn is thoroughly on your side. She's a great investigator. And she says, ever heard of a stock photo? Just saying, maybe you guys
Bingo.
are right. We weren't there. We don't know. I haven't interviewed the relatives of that woman, alleged woman, because they can't talk to me. The internet is censored in Iran, and women face death for even talking about these things from within the regime. I have interviewed activists most recently about 3 months ago who are out of the regime. I met this activist in Brussels. I interviewed her, and it's a whole network of expatriates, Iranian expatriates, who are talking about the morality police.
I don't doubt anything you're saying. I'm just saying,
well, then what's a good source? How do we follow?
I was trying to explain it to you.
Okay, well, explain it, baby.
So it takes a lot of work. What you have to do is, so we know BBC is owned by the British government.
Right.
Okay. BBC is allowing, when was that article published?
2024.
Okay. So what was happening in 2024 between the competitors of Iran, probably for oil, because pretty much the only thing they export, between Iran and its competitors, and who was the UK negotiating trade deals with when this article came out. Okay, because the same thing that they lay out in that article, the bruising, the sticks, all that, that happens in Riyadh. I've seen it. I've been to Riyadh.
Doesn't make it better, baby.
No, but what I'm saying is, why aren't they calling that out? It's the same reason when people say Israel's committing a genocide, these same people, like Kim Iverson, Max Blumenthal, all these guys, they're always like, Israel's a genocide, but then they'll never say maybe China's committing a genocide, even though it's much more documented. So how do you find it? You got to zoom in, zoom out, and get the whole pattern and figure out, okay, based on who controls the BBC, why would they want to put Iran in a bad light and then the next month put them in a good light?
Right. Thank you. Well, let me just share. And you know what I'll do? You're right, baby. Here's a call. I'm networked enough. I can do this. A call to Iranian expatriates who are active on the issue of women's rights and stopping human rights abuses in Iran. Please talk to me. Reach out to me at naomi@dailyclout.io. I will interview you. You can bring your sources, whether they're court transcripts, if you can get them. Remember, in a tyrannical society, it's hard to get primary sources.
I totally
certainly
understand.
Not on the internet. Whether it's secondhand accounts, eyewitness accounts, talk to me. Okay. But what we do know is that this law exists. There is a link on the Guardian. New laws, and this is December a year ago, new laws promoting the, quote, culture of chastity and hijab passed by the Iranian authorities earlier this month imposed severe penalties for those caught, quote, promoting nudity, indecency, unveiling, or improper dressing, end quote.
That's the same language as the previous law.
Okay, including fines of up to 12,500 pounds, flogging, and prison sentences ranging from 5 to 15 years for repeat offenders. So it's Article 37 of the new law. And those whose conduct is considered by the authorities to amount to, quote, corruption on earth could be sentenced to death under Article 286 of Iran's Islamic Penal Code. So Amnesty International links to it.
Can I point out another propaganda point here?
Yeah.
Again, I'm not disputing anything you're saying.
Okay.
I know it occurs. I know it's horrible for women in most of these countries. I know the law exists, but you see what they did there?
What did they do?
They had a very, very unsourced story in the beginning. You notice there's no links on that story about that young woman.
Right.
There's a stock photo, as Autumn, I think, I haven't checked it out, but, is probably right about. And then I've seen this all the time. So they start it with the grab headline. Then they give you the heart-wrenching story of someone that's usually unsourced, or it's hearsay. It could have happened. Maybe it didn't, maybe it did, but they're usually very undersourced.
Right.
And then like 50 to 60% of the article is stuff that you can source to make the entire article seem legit.
Okay.
So what they did is they put a bunch of links to Iranian law, which anyone could get. And they, right in the middle of that, they put the story that, they want you to buy into, and they surround it with easily sourceable type of narratives like the law.
Right.
Like, I don't need all those words to tell me about the Iranian law. Just say, to verify, check out the link here to the Iranian government.
Right.
But now you come away from that story. You've read it in the middle. You've read that little part in the middle. That's where the propaganda lies, right in the middle.
Right.
And then they sandwich in between facts, facts, very well sourced facts
Mhm.
that really have nothing to do with that particular crime or incident
Right.
against that woman, except for the law. There's some things happening. She was pulled over in a car. Those are pretty fast highways in Iran. So she's pulled over in a
Wait,
car.
have you been to Iran?
Uh, no comment. But the point is,
That's really scary.
why? Iran, look, there's no country that's really that scary. I mean, they can become scary really quickly. But when you go to most countries, it's not like you get off the plane and there's people, except for Haiti, chasing each other around with machetes. I mean, and things burning on fire. But what I'm saying is, you see what they did there. This is not to refute Naomi's point. Okay, I think what she's saying is valid. I know her work, and I know she does source things really well. So don't take this away from that. But what I do want everyone to notice is the pattern of the way, like, the BBC promotes propaganda. I don't know what they're messaging here, but I guarantee, and if one of the audience wants to take this on and they do a good job that's well sourced, we'll feature you on one of the shows to present your findings. But I would love to know, when that article came out, what was going on internationally between the UK, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and China.
I mean, fair enough. And I'll also validate what you're saying about selectivity, because things are as bad, if not worse, in Saudi Arabia for women, and you never, ever, 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 ever hear about it. And as I said, yesterday, you literally never hear about.
You don't even see pictures
of
it.
Baby. Can
Sorry.
I finish the sentence? You can't give me that look. Look, honey.
I'm just looking at you. I have bushy eyebrows.
So Jennifer Jensen is concerned that we're fighting. So
why is that's not what Jennifer said. She said, hard to watch this argument. Jennifer, why? No. Not calling you out, just want to know why it's hard to watch. Because it's not an argument, it's a debate.
We debate all day long. We have a very happy marriage. I would be really bored if we did not debate.
Yeah, I live in fear all day long. She's very violent and mean, and she censors me all day long. And then sometimes she throws a shoe. So, thanks, Jennifer.
Okay, well, Jennifer, please
Jennifer just cost me a beating. Just kidding.
Please don't worry. I've been with people with whom I couldn't have a robust debate that was, it seems like argument for argument's sake. No, I'm just Jewish.
That's a really good point. No, that is a really good point, because Naomi questions everything, and then I've learned to question everything back. And she's right. It's a very Jewish trait where
not to generalize, but yes.
No, they're very proud of it. I mean, I remember being on a plane with a bunch of guys from Crown Heights, the Orthodox Jews, and they're heading overseas, and they're arguing, and it's getting annoying because when people are standing around you just want them to sit down. So I asked the Orthodox man next to me, hey, what is going on? He said, well, we're debating on when Shabbat should start, because with the curvature of the earth, we're not sure when the actual sunset counts.
Right.
And I said, don't you have like an app for that or something? And but he said no, and he was pointing out, he goes, no, this is a debate that will go on for centuries, because that's how we learn.
Right. Well, it's true. We're taught to debate, rather, including, debating God.
Yeah. And I would tell Jennifer, look, I'm not a stupid man. I believe in the ideology of happy wife, happy life. So I will never have an argument for argument's sake, because Naomi is really good at arguing, and I won't escape until she wins. I will literally walk the dog for 2 hours to let her run out of argument fuel. So no, I certainly don't have arguments for argument's sake. I like to avoid them, actually.
Yeah, but it's kind of fun to have a disagreement. No, but these are genuine disagreements, because we don't always see things the same way.
We're not really disagreeing, though.
No, we're not disagreeing. We're looking at different things.
We're always, and probably if you explore your own relationships, I bet if you look at most of your arguments or debates, it's not because you disagree with each other. It's that you're arguing two different things.
Very, very often the case.
Yeah.
All right, my darling, let's go. But don't worry, Mom and Dad are very happy.
It's odd.
It's like Mom and Dad are fighting.
I get it.
Yeah. So House Democrat files impeachment article against RFK Jr. Let me just double check, right? So the Democrats are at it again. I say this as a former lifelong Democrat, and I've cut free of that party because they have lost touch with reality. and decency and common sense. But the impeachment push by Representative Haley Stevens, Democrat of Michigan, Autumn is from Michigan, is almost certain to be blocked in the GOP-controlled House. But if the GOP loses the midterms, it can go right ahead.
No, keep going,
and there's Haley Stevens, a woman, Democratic Representative Haley Stevens, who's running for an open Senate seat in Michigan, formally introduced an article of impeachment Wednesday, so just yesterday, against HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., that has virtually zero chance of advancing through the Republican-controlled House. So this is gestural, but it's the kind of gestural articles of impeachment that have been levied against, certainly against President Trump, when they couldn't make it work. They used it as a talking point. This president has been impeached. This president has been, or articles of impeachment were levied against him. And it's pretty easy to introduce articles of impeachment. Our system calls for it. It's a low bar. I've done a video many years ago on the impeachment process. And our founders were kind of geniuses because and most people don't know this, it's not just presidents who can be impeached or very senior officials like the head of HHS, Secretary Kennedy. You can impeach any public servant. You know, as a citizen, you can introduce articles of impeachment or get them introduced by your elected officials for anyone who's not doing their job. It's a low bar. Our founders set it in motion so that to avoid corruption and to avoid like stale lawmakers, stale laws, stale people legislating with impunity, people behaving with impunity. It gives the low bar of impeachment, gives the people very active oversight over really every public servant. So she introduced the article of impeachment. She had vowed to do so in September, arguing that his actions and public remarks had jeopardized public health, increased the cost of healthcare, and cut important medical research programs. The New York Times first reported that Stevens had filed the article, and then to your point about propaganda, darling, because you're making so many good points.
You are too, darling.
You are too.
See, Jennifer.
They can now use that as a 1-2 punch in the propaganda wars. Look, the New York Times, the paper of record, has reported that articles of impeachment were introduced against Secretary Kennedy. So that makes it sound really official, even though it's just a tiny handful of people actually making this decision.
Did they put the bill that she's voting on, or how that thing is listed?
Introduced articles of impeachment. Let's see if they link to the article. Yes, they did. That's very rare.
I know Autumn knows Michigan well. So anything you got on Haley Stevens, she just feels like a democratic socialist of America. She's 42 years old, very young. I won't go into this, but even her profile, like Democrats always get it wrong when it comes to who the average American is. There is no average American, but they're like, oh, she went to Michigan, graduated from Seaholm High School in Birmingham, growing up in an entrepreneurial household where her parents ran a landscaping business and hauled equipment in a Ford F-150.
Oh yeah, she's a woman of the people.
Oh, good God.
Okay, so baby, look at this. It's HRES. Well, this is interesting. Nothing, I guess, because it hasn't passed yet, but it also means you can't easily search for it in the House of Representatives. Here's the resolution. It's pretty short. It's just, 13 pages long. And wow, it's harsh. The Constitution provides that the House of Representatives, quote, shall have the sole power of impeachment, and that the civil officers of the United States, see what I was saying, any civil officer can be impeached, including the Secretary of HHS, quote, shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. So in his conduct, she says he's abused the powers of his office and failed to faithfully, she split the infinitive, my dad would be appalled, execute the laws of the United States in violation of his constitutional oath and his duty, eroded public confidence in the nation's public health, public confidence in the nation's public health institutions. That's not his job.
Yeah, these are all so broad.
And stalled decades of scientific and medical progress. I'm going to close that, baby, because we're running. Well, you want to go back to it?
No.
Well, baby, I'll bring it up.
No, it's okay. I was just saying, it's really interesting because a lot of these are so performative. Like, to actually have that impeachment even make it, I mean, like, for instance, part of it said causing the deaths of Americans. It's like, how do you prove that?
Right.
How do you prove that death was caused by something the HHS secretary did?
Right.
Don't forget that in our great friend Dr. Henry Ely ran a whole team that I was on for this about how at the time the Biden HHS CDC in particular actually changed the guidance on death certificates. So every death, the primary cause was COVID. Even some dude that got his head taken off on a motorcycle accident was, the cause was COVID.
Right.
So when they say cause the death of, how do you even begin to prove that at such a high range? That's why I say, and they know this. So that's why I say this is all more and more shots, theater to keep them busy and burn their time.
Well, there's more, baby, about, back up what you just said. See, I really support my husband and his point of view.
You don't have to.
It's okay. I just want to reassure Jennifer. But it's at the behest of pharma companies. In a brief interview Tuesday night, Stevens said she had heeded the call of pro-science groups, meaning pro-science groups, as opposed to anti-science groups like HHS, who have warned that Kennedy's 10-month tenure leading HHS has cost American lives and that he must be removed. So her pharma donors...
Call Stevens.
Call Stevens right now.
No, not right now, but let's call her.
Let's call her. You're right.
You're a journalist, so call her and say,
what?
Got some questions.
Who
in
is
the
she heeding?
Well, in the NBC News article, it was stated that this, and this. You also mentioned pro-science groups. Who exactly were these pro-science contacts you talked to? What companies did they work for? That sort of thing. And
I'm sorry, baby.
I do want to point out to you. Remember, we were in Michigan.
Yes.
So when we were in Michigan, this is pretty shocking. At the state level, we were at a barbecue, with Republicans.
Yes, we were.
And this big SUV pulls up, and this little guy in he looks like a typical corporate guy, little tie with his sleeves rolled up. Oh, having a barbecue. He's handing envelopes out, and then he goes over to the Democrat side. He's handing envelopes out, and I asked one of our hosts, I go, "Who was that?" Because that's one of the pharma guys. He's just giving the lobbying checks.
Oh my God, that's right.
I have it on video.
That's right. Passing out the checks. Well, she heeded the originators of those
checks.
I had
to keep my cool. I'm like, wait, we just came here to help you fight certain things against pharma. And
you're taking the checks.
You're taking the checks from the pharma guy. Yeah,
well, that was theater too, honey. That's a demonstration of impunity.
Sure, absolutely.
It was a really good barbecue provided by
really good hosts.
Really good, lovely, but taking the checks, doing the bidding. She heeded the calls. Well, baby, you'll love this. I've got to read you this quote. I'm a very serious lawmaker, she said. I get a lot done here, she continued, but I'm not going to sit quietly by while people's health and safety and lives are on the line. I just think it's so funny that someone says, I'm a very serious lawmaker.
Why do you need to say that?
Dr. Seuss legislator. In a video posted on social media Wednesday, Stevens declared RFK Jr. has got to go. So they've got an HHS spokesman at last pushing back. They haven't had a good comms team for a long time, so I'm glad that they've got someone pushing back. And the quote was, Senator Kennedy remains focused on improving Americans' health and lowering costs, not on partisan theatrics designed to elevate standing in a failing third-rate Senate bid.
Well, I got a question for you. So you know PR a lot better than I do. I know how to analyze it. You know how to manage it. Would you have written the statement that way?
No.
How would you have written that statement? Just to read the original statement again. This is very interesting because Naomi's opinion on this really matters to me because she's really good at messaging. Where to
Thank
go?
you, sweetheart.
It says here.
There's the statement.
Where is it?
Up. Right there, baby.
Okay, so the HHS statement in reply, I'm guessing, to RFK Jr. has to go comment by Stevens. Secretary Kennedy remains focused on improving Americans' health and lowering costs, not on partisan theatrics designed to elevate standing in a failing third-rate Senate bid. That's very confusing.
Well, very confusing. So do you want me to?
Yeah, how would you rewrite that?
Okay, it's so sad though, because I so much want HHS to have a good comms team, and their comms team, even with the improvements, remain abysmal.
It just seems really nebulous.
Well, it's so you never want to blow a chance to have a good message soundbite, especially in a national media outlet like NBC, right? So what's wrong with it is it's very vague about what Secretary Kennedy is doing that's positive. They should have 3 bullet points to do this, this, and this, right? To get every child access to healthy food, to, raise the, quality of life of every American child, and to lower healthcare costs for every American.
Okay.
Something like that. Boom, boom, boom. He didn't get that done, right?
Right.
So, and to my knowledge, they don't have those 3 message points, which are always the same until they are changed formally and always repeated by, every interview, every surrogate, meaning spokesperson, not just the official ones. So that's number 1. Number 2, they threw in, and I wish they'd stop doing this, a very unclassy, personal, bitchy rebuttal, which wasn't substantive. So they call it partisan theatrics. I think it's fine to say partisan theatrics. I would have put this like, the American people are smart enough to know that this is a piece of partisan theatrics, burning up time and taxpayer dollars when Americans are dying from inadequate healthcare and bad science.
Huh.
That is left in place by the last administration. You're welcome. Thank you. But the bitchy, unnecessary, and murky part is to elevate standing in a failing third-rate Senate bid, end quote. So who is that? It's this lawmaker. And you have to read many paragraphs down to find out that she is trying to be elected to the Senate.
It's just confusing,
it's confusing
English.
And you've lost your opportunity.
Put that in simple English for me to elevate standing in a failing.
What is standing? Right? Nobody knows. So
what bid?
Yeah, what bid exactly? So you have to really. It's real insider baseball, and it's bitchy insider baseball. And I would say also it's aimed at a woman. It's a man aiming it at a woman. And respectfully, MAHA. The MAHA spokespeople, MAHA PAC, MAHA team, except for RFK Jr., who's wonderful and has women in leadership positions all around him.
Yeah.
They're horrible about women, very condescending. And so it doesn't help that MAHA is, over 50% female, and they need that female swing vote. MAHA
but
and
these
MAGA.
are her opinions, not mine. I don't know these people.
Okay. and once again, he's just being kind of gratuitously nasty to a woman instead of rebutting with substance.
Who's doing the PR over there right now?
Well, that guy Nixon, right? Andrew Nixon.
Is that who said it? Okay.
He seems to be the head of the comms team. But, the fact that you're asking that is a failure of their comms team, because you should know, HHS spokesman Andrew Nixon, you should know exactly who this person is. He should be on the news every day.
Failing in a bid to elevate. I can't even. So, would this be better? I'll take a shot at it. I'm not trained like you are, but how about to distract from other motivations that in no way help the American people?
Well, you never want to use a negative.
Okay. So, in plain English.
You would say, well, she's burning taxpayer time and money with theater, with pointless theater, instead of joining forces with Secretary Kennedy to get the people she represents better health care, clean up the garbage that their kids are being fed in her state schools, and, lowering costs for everybody.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That makes a lot more sense.
Baby, after this, we need to move on to the next one. Brian, if his name was Bill Parfait, he is the ex-CEO of Pharmacia Upjohn, which is now Pfizer. He funds the Michigan GOP. Holy cow.
I'll check. I got the video, Autumn, so I know what the guy looks like. I got his license plate number, and I'll just cross-check it. That's a great lead.
Wow, that's a great
Autumn's
lead.
Awesome.
She's
Everyone
awesome.
follow Autumn.
Gotta follow.
Autumn, throw your X up there, just so people have it.
Wow. ex-CEO of Pharmacia Upjohn, which is now Pfizer. So Michigan, which is a swing state, and one of the states where the fiercest battles over medical freedom and medical tyranny have been fought, but a battleground state that you need to get in order to win the presidency, is essentially owned by pharma and owned specifically by Pfizer. Wow. Well, remind me not to travel through there without you, darling.
We traveled through there. We were in the belly of the beast. We got solicited clearly by pharma, which we were like, no, we don't want you.
Wait, they offered us a check?
No, they offered me some of their French fries, but that's beside the point. And then don't forget, we had the actual white KKK approached Naomi at a rally.
God, I don't even remember this.
Yeah, it was weird, man. It was like, we're at this rally, good people. Let me just state that.
Very nice people.
But with every large rally, there's always a couple on the fringe. And it was like a movie. It was like almost like American History X, like the costumes. Like one guy was real goatee, kind of hunting, kind of the what is it? Kind of like one of those hunting jackets. Careful.
Mhm.
And he had the goatee, the hunting jacket, the I forgot the name. Anyways, real is it real tree? Camo. Anyways, and then the other guy's like got the slick back hair with the spectacles and the collar shirt like a preacher.
Mm.
And they come up and they try to give Naomi this booklet.
Oh, that's right.
And then, you know, what I always do, you know, when I'm running her security or I'm just accompanying her, is I never let anyone hand anything to her, because that's when they get the photo ops. Oh, look, here's Naomi Wolf taking Aryan Vanguard
Totally.
literature.
And hanging out with the Aryans. Oops, that's low-key. I'll get it, baby.
No, I get it.
All right. Well, yeah, they did try to do that. That's really creepy. And I would not have realized what was happening if you weren't there to intercept them, or I wouldn't have been able to stay away from them.
It's just the wind.
Okay. Autumn says, you guys got to come back to Michigan and speak at my Tea Party meeting.
Oh, well, to finish my story.
Sure, baby.
So I said, hey, guys, how's it going? Well, the guy, he starts, and I kept the book. It was wild. And he's like, so I don't know if you guys know, but the Jews, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, let's step over here as far from Naomi as we can. He's like, and, you know, one look at you two, I know you're on the same page with me. And I'm like,
say
he
that.
did. And he's like,
oh my gosh.
I'm looking, I'm like, yeah, that is my blonde-haired, blue-eyed queen.
Hey, baby, we've got to be nice to Loki.
Well, I'm not shocking him like Hassan
Right.
Piker.
Right.
I'm just yelling at him.
Well, let's not yell at him.
He's yelling at me. He started it.
He started. I'll hold him on my lap. Go ahead, sweetie.
But no, Loki will bark all day.
He's just protecting us.
So basically, I'm looking at them, and he starts reading me passages, and this is probably the most bizarre one I've ever seen about how the ancient Jews came down in a spaceship from a hostile planet, like, and they have it packaged like a New Testament.
Oh
I'm like, I'm looking at them going, I'm waiting for the punchline, like, you know, and I'm like, wow, that's riveting. And I'm intrigued.
I love you too,
and he's like, okay, so and I'm looking, and when I said the blonde-haired, blue-eyed, and he's like, yeah, every man needs an Aryan princess.
He didn't say.
He did.
Oh
and I'm like, do they not know she's Jewish? Like, what's going on here? And that was, and the whole ride home, I'm like kind of watching the rearview mirror, like, let's take a circuitous route back to the hotel, because I don't really want people knowing where we're staying. And I stayed up and I read that, and I'm like, this is bizarre. And there's a lot of people that believe this stuff. Anyways, that's beside the point.
Well,
Michigan's
it's a good transition, baby, because we only have 15 minutes left, and we've got one last story. So just to wrap up the, impeachment articles against RFK Jr., it's easy to make fun of them now, but if we lose the midterms, or I should say if the GOP loses the midterms, which sadly, in my view, they are thoroughly on track to do if they don't get their act together in a couple of critical ways, it could become very serious. They could impeach RFK Jr., and that means we would lose him, even if it remains a Trump administration.
Well, they're setting it up to impeach both of them. I
know, but he's lower hanging fruit because he's outraged and offended so many.
He's harder to impeach. He's pretty hard. It's pretty hard to impeach the HHS secretary. They control a bigger budget than the DOD.
That's true. But I guess the other thing I would say is
than Homeland Security.
If the GOP loses the midterms, if there are articles of impeachment, it's going to burn up so much time, so many resources, so many legal fees for RFK Jr. to fight, to testify, the lawyers to fight, discovery, et cetera, that it'll make it very hard for him to deliver on his agenda to the American people, which I have to say, I've been critical of HHS, because they've been so slow to act on the mRNA injection, but they are moving, they are giving us some big victories. They are giving MAHA a good deal in the last week or two of what we voted for. So,
and before you shut off the stream at the end of this, just let me copy all of Autumn's comments, because a lot of info in there.
Okay, you bet, baby. Let's move on. There's a good trend. My being ambushed by the white supremacist Aryan Nazis in Michigan is a great transition to this, which is what's happening with Eurovision. So it's a different subject. It's not health freedom. It's not vaccines. But, we have been talking a lot about Israel and the rise of anti-Semitism and, who's funding the pro-Palestinian targeting of synagogues and churches and civil
It's
instability.
making it easier for them
And
to see it.
so Iceland is now the 5th country, and this is Axios, to boycott Eurovision over Israel's participation. And it's really shocking because Iceland is a very civilized country. Brian and I were in Iceland earlier this year
spring,
in January, actually. And
January, yep.
and we had a wonderful time. People were incredibly nice to us. Beautiful country, and a country that should understand, sovereignty, because it's one of the most sovereign nations we've ever visited. That's been one Icelandic people for as long as there's been recorded history, even before written history. They bypassed the Industrial Revolution, as our host shared with us, and they're one kind of ethnic lineage.
Right.
Like, I'm not a racist, but it's very interesting and rare to be in a country that really has been the same group of people tribally in terms of blood lineages for 1,000 years. And so they've got a problem with Israel. And so they're refusing to take part in the 2026 Eurovision Song Contest. So now they've joined Ireland, the Netherlands, Slovenia, and Spain, who all have also threatened to withdraw, to not participate in, no, because I'm not subscribed to Axios, but that's okay.
Little trick.
Yeah, baby.
If you drop that onto Wayback Machine, someone may have put the whole article on there, but you don't have to do that now.
That's okay.
But we want to know the rest of the article.
Okay, well, baby.
Sorry to call you out. I'm just saying.
I don't know what to say. There are many versions of this. So if you can find.
Yeah, we'll try. Do you mind?
Yeah, go ahead. So there are many versions. I've been following it, as Ireland has threatened to withdraw and as Spain has threatened to withdraw. I was very sorry to see the Netherlands, which has been was such a friend to Jews during World War II in hiding them, Anne Frank's homeland, basically saying we're not going to participate if Israel participates. This is an important story to me because it's, I'm sorry, I keep saying, and I know that's bad. My dad would be shocked. It's an important story to me because the artists who attend Eurovision, which is the European pan-European big. I don't know.
These guys down here.
These guys down
Right
here.
there.
These
Right
guys
there.
down here.
Right there, right
These,
there.
okay, baby.
Here.
Okay, baby. There we go. Thank you. Well, if you heard me talking, I was saying the reason this story is important is that the people who are attending Eurovision are not political. They're not heads of state. They're not Department of Defense. They're not IDF. I mean, they have to, serve in the IDF if they don't have religious exemptions, because all Israelis, men and women, have to serve in the IDF. But they're not political, in any way. They're singers, they're musicians, they're artists. And so it's just like Zoran Mamdani's mom trying to get actress Gal Gadot not to be boycotted from the Golden Globes because she's Israeli. She's an actress. She has nothing to do with, attacks on Gaza, civil liberties in Palestine, that whole conflict. And, they're not, I think they're not singling out any other country for their political record or alleged human rights abuses, of which now there are many. You can identify plenty of countries that have done things wrong that are still participating in Eurovision. The other reason it's really important is that, how can I put this? Israel is in the Middle East, but it really looks to Europe. And a lot of its values and civilization and culture are more European, that are more like that of Tel Aviv is more like, Brussels or Barcelona than it is like Doha, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my point is it's oriented toward Europe. Its culture is more aligned with that of Europe than with its neighbors who surround it, who are all Muslim countries with very different cultures. So it's important to this tiny country, Israel, it's a source of great pride. I've been in Israel when they participated in the Eurovision competition. They have done for decades. I mean, I remember them participating in 1973, 1974, unless this was another festival that I remember. But I remember the song. I remember as a middle schooler doing little dances to the Israeli Eurovision song, or whatever the equivalent was of that time. And it's a big part of the morale of the country culturally to participate. And right now, this is not a single thing that Israel's participation is being objected to by fellow countries. It's happening to Israeli academics. It's happening to Israeli actors and actresses, as I mentioned. I mean, I was in or aligned with a movie in which one of the actresses was Israeli, and the I think Moroccan or Egyptian star who was playing opposite her said he couldn't be in a scene with her because the backlash from his fans, I think in Egypt, was so strong that he would even be in a scene in a movie with an Israeli actress. So Israel is regularly, people who have nothing to do with politics or defense, actors, writers, politicians, actors, writers, musicians, are facing these doors slamming on them, this kind of ostracism all over the world. Meanwhile, South Africa, there's an apartheid system right now in South Africa, horrible human rights abuses against white people, unfortunately.
Devils in the details.
Devils in the details. And I'll get there in just a minute.
Okay.
And no one is boycotting South Africans. And you could go around the world, like Saudi Arabia, Iran, as we said. No one's saying, oh, you're an Iranian academic, you can't come to Columbia. On the contrary, no one's holding Iranian academics or Saudi academics responsible for the human rights abuses of their governments. And look at Afghanistan. I was thinking about this morning. The Taliban just said that women can't even hear other women's voices, right? We talked about that. Yeah. And they can't be seen at windows. But instead of thinking this is a nation of criminals at this point who are mass abusing women, we're welcoming Afghani men. We're welcoming them to Western Europe and North America and funding every single aspect of their lifestyles. So it's a total double standard.
There's 191,000 Afghanis here from Operation Allies Welcome from Biden. What's really scary about that is this DC shooter is actually the Daily Beast, who I definitely don't trust, but their sources checked out on this. They floated the idea of, from a guy that knows terrorism from the Taliban. It's like, well, maybe this is, it was probably leveraged. His family was leveraged in Afghanistan because a lot of people didn't bring their whole families, of basically do this or they die, which the Chinese Communist Party does as well. And it's what the Taliban terrorist groups have always done. They always hold the family kind of hostage or a threat.
Right.
And that would explain why this guy, it's not verified. It's not even being considered as an actual theory, but it makes my 2 decades in counterterrorism. That is the most plausible explanation of why a guy with the family in the Northwest decided to get in his car from the Northwest, drive to DC on a major holiday and take on a suicide mission, with his 357 in DC in the shadow of the White House where there's National Guard.
Right.
Think of the...
Wait, what is the motivation? I lost the...
Taliban leans on a lot of families that are back there. So why do I bring that up?
To engage in acts of terrorism or violence against us.
Yeah. Or do this, carry this package, deliver these people. And that's scary because that's 191,000 refugees, as the Biden administration calls them. I'm not saying they're all terrorists. Actually, a small number of them probably are actual Taliban.
Right.
but they're all potential suicide bombers.
Wow, that's so scary. Well, they're not held accountable for Afghanistan's policies. So to go back to
Are you playing a video game?
No, baby.
I'm just joking. I'm joking. She doesn't play video games.
So
I do.
No, baby, that's a source that I
Baby, I was joking.
Okay, baby. Well, can I go back to the story of Eurovision?
Yeah, and I highlighted something.
So why are you highlighting that? So Iceland was reportedly among 7 countries that then requested a vote at the EBU General Meeting on Israel's participation. That request was denied, and Israel's future participation was instead effectively tied to a ballot on the new voting and campaign rules. What's your point?
The buried lead is, from the look of this, Iceland originally had a vote on that board.
Yeah.
Or for recommendation on that board, right?
Right, Eurovision.
And then it looks like Iceland was wanting to vote in this latest decision,
Right.
this updated decision.
Right.
And apparently they don't have a vote anymore. So technically, it's a bit of a misleading headline. It doesn't seem like Iceland actually had a say because a ballot on the new voting and campaigning rules, whatever those are. It doesn't sound like Iceland even had a, because it seems odd to me. They're very, very isolationist.
Right.
They do not want, the people do not want to be involved in the EU over in Iceland.
Yeah.
But they, like our country, have been, there's this takeover by the green mafia. They call them the green shirts.
Right.
And they also have a massive Chinese embassy that just plopped in the middle of Reykjavik. Thank you. That I took pictures of, but I was asking our guy who's really well tied in to, the families in Iceland and we got the impression he's a prominent family in Iceland, and it's tiny. So he knows everyone, but, they don't want all the greens. So it all comes in under the green mask. And he made a good point. He's like, the reason we don't want them here is because we are the greenest country in the world.
That's true, they are.
All of our heat comes from the ground and is piped to houses. We don't need any more green. We can't get any greener. But the point I'm making is, it makes sense that I'd love to read these transcripts. I'm guessing Iceland was kind of like on the fence at best.
Yeah.
And they took away their vote, and several other countries.
Wow. Very interesting, baby. Well spotted. We've come to the end of our time.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting story. So, I got to look at who Poland given. Yeah, I want to look at who's on this Eurovision thing.
Right.
And again, I want to look at what else is happening. Is this a move by some EU members against Germany? Because Germany reportedly is now mending ties with Israel and providing weapons to them. This comes on the heels of Macron and his wife, who are just returning from a week-long trip to China.
Oh, did they?
Yes.
Oh my God.
So zoom in, zoom out. That's all I'm saying. Might not be tied at all. If you don't find it in 2 to 3 degrees or levels, move on.
I just feel so sad for musicians and athletes who have, worked and just want to share their gifts with the world. Totally. It's not their fault.
It's really sad.
It's so sad.
I saw one guy on Kim Iverson's showing, I am just focused on her and her network of propagandists who are all communists. But she had a young man on there, and it seemed like a really nice guy. And he'd done kind of this expose against an Israeli group that I don't agree with it. But, you see these young people, and they're just happy that someone's recognizing them and funding their project. And, I could see the guy kind of figure out that, am I being used here? He's like, well, because she's like, so is your life at danger since you did this documentary, and have you had to change, blah, blah, or something like that? And he's like, no one's threatened me or anything.
It's the Jews. It's Mossad. They're after everyone.
It was the Russians 2 years ago.
I know. Baby, we've run out of time. I have to wrap it up there, but let's just end that by saying, gotta end it, baby. I know.
No. Just don't. Let me. Is there a way to highlight all these comments?
Yeah, we can save all the. I won't touch them.
Can we save those?
Yeah, baby, but let's not do the admin now.
Well, I can't, because once you shut it off, they're gone. I don't lose them.
Okay. Baby, I'm going to wrap up.
Oh, you know what?
What, baby?
Let me just do this.
Okay, I'm gonna thank our sponsor,
Okay,
and I'm gonna
you
wrap
could do
up.
the sponsors.
All right, baby. Don't worry, Jennifer. All is well. So.
Yeah.
So let's end there. I'm going to end with a wish.
What about?
I wish that everyone who wants to sing can sing. Thank you, sweetheart. I wish that everyone who wants to play music can play music. Palestinian, Saudi, Afghani women, Iranian women. You know, I wish everyone who wants to dance can dance. I wish that we can all sing and dance together. That is like the Olympics. You know, Eurovision can be a real vector for world peace. Ireland, check your history.
Ireland.
No, seriously, Ireland. Like I love. No, I know
it's terrible.
It's terrible. I love Ireland, but you guys fought long and hard for Irish culture, Irish language, Irish sovereignty, Irish borders for Ireland. And some of the great minds of the 20th century, like the great poet W.B. Yeats, fought for Irish sovereignty. So really, shame on you. You know, you want to have it for yourself and you want to deny it to other people. And may I just say, when you were fighting for Irish sovereignty, your patriots killed a lot of people. They did, or your terrorists killed a lot of people. I'm sorry, they did.
I don't consider them terrorists back then.
Well, that's the point. The Palestinians don't consider their terrorists terrorists. They consider them patriots.
They know they're terrorists.
Baby, come on. I mean, my point is...
At what point when you're strapping on a bomb vest do you say, this is totally normal?
Okay, but Easter 1916 was also an uprising against a colonial power.
Let's not get started.
Baby, let's save that. And
that was such an overblown event. People couldn't even hear De Oliveira's speech.
Sweetheart, my point is, Ireland fought, De Valera, Ireland fought the greatest power on earth, which at that time, which was the British Empire. They killed British soldiers. They fought the occupation, and they established their own borders. And
what do you think was happening to them?
Horrible things.
Yes.
But baby, my point, that's exactly my point, is that they were persecuted for centuries, as we were persecuted for centuries. And then their argument was Ireland for the Irish. We need our own nation. We need our own culture. We need to teach our kids Irish. We're a Catholic country. Okay, you did it for you. You know, I'm so tired of apologizing. Israelis are doing it for Israel, you know, and they're being much more inclusive with 20% Muslim Arabs and Christian Arabs than you guys were with your Protestants. Respectfully, they had to create their whole other country and flee to Northern Ireland if they didn't want to live in a Catholic Republic of Ireland. So shut up, or be, I'm sorry, I never say shut up to people. Stop being hypocrites. Spain, Barcelona, you have your own, Barcelona has its own, freedom movement. You want your own Basque country. You want your own Basque country within Spain.
Spain doesn't want that.
Okay, well, the Basques want it.
Right.
And they want to speak their own language. They want their own culture. I might agree or not agree, whatever. It's not my fight. It's your culture to establish your own borders, to work it out with Spain or to secede from Spain. How can you say that, another country can't have their borders and their culture and even their religion if they want their religion, right?
The Basques aren't saying that. This is the Spanish. You're talking about the Spanish.
I'm saying all of these people who are like, ew, cooties, Israel, they've all been nationalists. They've all fought for their own nation.
Can
culture,
I add
religion.
About Spain?
Yes,
that
and then we really
Spain has never recognized Palestine as a state. And then this curious thing happened in 2024, March, I believe. The Chinese Communist Party gave Spain $18 billion for their infrastructure project known as the Belt and Road. And then magically 3 weeks later, Spain, Ireland, and a couple others recognize Palestine as a state.
Wow.
And I want to note that China is one of the first countries to recognize Palestine as a state. They've kind of led the charge.
And you explained why, so they can have a pipeline through what is now Israel. Baby, this is so fascinating. We have to stop, and I have to...
China.
Always. It
is.
I know, as it appears. So Eurovision, let the Israelis sing. All right. Just like you're letting the Irish sing and the Spanish sing. Every major financial collapse, Brian, has been preceded by the same 7 warning signs. Before the Great Depression, before 1970 stagflation, before the crash of 2008. And now all 7 are flashing red again for the first time in over 15 years. American Alternative Assets just released a free report called the Bellwether Signal. It breaks down each of these signals and shows you how to protect your retirement before the next wave of a crisis hits. In times of uncertainty, gold has always been the ultimate safe haven. It held strong in 2008. You want to check what? Babe?
I'm checking gold and silver prices.
Yeah. It held strong in 2008. It surged during the inflation crisis of the 1970s, and it remains one of the few assets not tied to political manipulation or central bank policy. Find out why central banks are buying it in record amounts and how you can too. Call 855-803-GOLD, 855-803-GOLD, and mention us, Daily Clout, or visit cloutgold.com, cloutgold.com, and get your free copy of the Bellwether Signal. That's 855-803-GOLD.
That's what you get. Right. That is an awesome free guide.
That's awesome.
It's not even a guide. It's like kind of a really microeconomic thing. I love this company. Or
visit cloutgold.com and learn the signs. Protect your savings. Make your move while you still can. And you and I often talk about how we regret not having invested in gold when we first realized that we were being locked down and tyranny was on the ascendancy. If we had invested in gold in 2000, we would have almost quintupled our investment, right? I've never heard of an asset that does that.
I would. They're also
show that, baby. That's
they're also sorry, I have to point my. So they're also offering free silver over there on.
What?
Yeah, they're also offering some free silver.
I
promotions.
want free silver.
Because they sell silver. It's precious metals. Gold is their main one. But I'm just looking at this now. In the past, so in the past 6 months, silver futures have gone up 78.13%. So silver right now, has gone from
78 in how long?
6 months.
That's insane. Why didn't we invest 6 months ago? We didn't have the extra.
Actually, I invested yesterday.
Good for you. Thank you for taking care of that.
In some gold. I mean, in some silver,
Wow, thank you.
And then the price of gold itself.
Oh my God, you've got to show that.
Yeah, so the price of silver itself is 62. No, that's not that impressive. I like to do long. There we go.
Okay, show that.
So the 6 months, it was looks like it was 35. I will show it in a second. 35 to 64 in, it looks like 6 months.
Completely. That's 7 times really good returns on the stock market. Baby, that's amazing. Thank you so much for showing that. Again, that's cloutgold.com. You guys, remember, when you support our sponsors, you support independent journalism like ours, Outspoken over on Substack. Please become a paid subscriber if you can afford to. It helps bring this podcast and my essays to readers and listeners around the world living under desperate circumstances, tyrannies. It really is very important. We can't do this without your support over at Daily Clout or here. And you can follow me on X, Naomi R. Wolf, and you can also go over to Daily Clout and subscribe or donate there. And Brian, darling, where can they find you?
Right there, scrolling along the bottom.
Yeah. There you are. Okay. So follow Brian on @Brian SPI on X and go to his Substack, and you've got a new venture, right, honey? 2 new ventures.
Yeah. I also have, I'm involved. So I am one of the founders of consumerdiligence.org, which is @consumerdiligence.dd on X. What is consumer diligence?
No, baby, we don't have time.
No, I'm just letting people know it's an apolitical thing. We look at everyone. I want everyone to check out some of our exposés on the Dollar General is shocking. So basically any scam, this is nonpartisan. We just want people to know where they're shopping at. We know you don't have a lot of time to look at it yourself. Consumer Reports kind of sucks now. We're like the Consumer Reports on steroids with claws. So that's what we are, and we have no big donors.
And are you starting an org called Ban the Brotherhood with your friends?
So I've been asked, and I have accepted. I joined Frank Gaffney's group called Ban the Brotherhood. It's banthebrotherhood.org. We are working diligently to give the president all the information he needs to designate the Brotherhood the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist organization. It's a very nebulous kind of organizational type structure, but there's enough out there. But there are people within the Trump administration who are amazingly trying to block it or to disrupt it.
Qatar's spending billions. So, baby, where do they find
everyone
that?
Everyone get on it, man.
Where's the website? Does it exist yet?
Yeah, it's banthebrotherhood.org.
Okay.
Recommend everyone subscribe to our info list. There's tons of good information on there, and push that site out for us if you would. Okay. We want and teach people and learn about what the Muslim Brotherhood is. I'm so glad you're fighting these fights. We have to say goodbye now to our friends. Whatever you say, darling. I just don't do anything violent. Okay. It's not always easy. Baby. I don't know if everyone has a sense of humor. Whatever you say, dear. Okay, baby. All right. Thank you for joining us. Crazy times here at Shea O'Shea, and we'll see you tomorrow, or I'll see you tomorrow, and we will end the stream. Thanks for joining us. Take care. Thank you. Bye.